It's interesting. According to Albert Goldman, John Lennon's biographer, Reminiscing from 78 by the Little River Band was one of his favorite songs. We talked to Graham Goble, the man who put the song together from the original Little River Band, as he talks about reminiscing on rock history music. Reminiscing, I remember like certain Beatle loving that one. To me, reminiscing to me, and I know you've heard this before, Graham, but to me, that's like the perfect song.
Well, I've come to see it that way too. I mean, I didn't feel that when I wrote it, but it's not just the perfect song. I think it's a perfect record in terms of every part on that record, and it's just so stunningly original. And that song will be around for 500 years. Like it's just so timeless. It's there are certain songs that just the planets align somehow. But I've had all, I mean, as you can imagine, so much feedback about that song. But I even had some guy years ago. He was a conservatory musician, and he said the the chords in Reminiscing, he said, as far as he could see, have never been ever put into a song before that way. It changed the intro, and then it changes key coming down into the verse. He said, "You must be like, did you write it on piano? How did you do this?" And I said, "Well, look, no, none of that. I could just hear that in my head, and I just transcribed it onto my guitar. It took me like under half an hour to write it. The lyric came with the melody and the
But
chords. It all
the phrasing of that, even the beginning, I mean, I'm listening to the phrasing, I'm going, sounds like a guy talking, but the bounce of the phrasing and even going into the chorus, I'm going, how did he come up with that?
Well, okay. The inspiration, I didn't deliberately inspire it, but what about this was the bar being set by Cole Porter. So if you think of night and day,
Yeah.
like the beat, beat, beat of the tom tom, da 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 da, with a da 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 da. That's the one note thing. Friday night it was late, I was walking you home. So I started with Friday night it was late on the one note, but then Friday night it was late, I was walking you home. We got down to the gate and I was dreaming of the night. The chord change there. It's magical, but that's just what I heard, and that's just what happened. But and soon as I got that Friday night it was late thing, like I just loved all those black and white movies, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers with the lamps walking down the street after the dance, and it's all beautifully lit, and there's a bit of fog around or something like that. That's the whole image of my thing, because I wanted to have that life. I never had that life. I never had a girlfriend when I was young. I never experienced what I was seeing in those awesome American movies of the black and white era, and even the when that was the life I wanted to have. I still want to have it, but maybe it's not too late. I don't know. But I never had a prom. I never went to the prom. I never had any of all the imagery that's in reminiscing. I have never personally experienced in my life. I've never danced with a girl on a dance floor or ever any of that. Never. But I could put it in the song. So I just let my imagination go, and I think because it is an experience of so many people, particularly in the US and Canada, and that is what goes on in America when you're a teenager, and you have that they're the most wonderful years, so people can relate to it so much, and it's just it is a perfect song for so many reasons, and that's why it just goes on and on and on and on, and just I mean every day I just get my email box is full with people saying how much they love that song and what a companion it's been for their life. It's a
Well,
wonderful thing.
did you know? I mean, that's a generic question, but when you were putting it together, did you know there's something here? Did
No, no, I didn't. And even when it was recorded, we recorded it three times. The first twice it didn't work out because it didn't have the right keyboard player on it. But eventually we got Peter Jones, the most wonderful, who played the Rhodes on the thing, on the song. But when we finished Sleeper Catcher and the album went to Capitol, and we were waiting for 5 weeks before we got a call to say, look, we like the album, but there are no singles on it. Could we maybe record something else? And And then some guy in New York said, look, you guys are crazy. Reminiscing is a smash. That's what you should be putting out. And they said, well, I don't know. It's a bit, the Capitol was saying that they couldn't hear it. So they reluctantly put it out. And of course, it just went ballistic. But it wasn't like, oh, isn't this wonderful? And even we didn't think, well, this is the song we've been waiting for. We didn't, even though we loved the record that we'd made, but we didn't say, well, this is really going to get us going now. But then we followed it up with Lady, which was as big, and in fact is equally as big with even today on the same record. And so it was just, as I say, planets align. And but we didn't know. We just were in there recording. Well, I put Lady together forward for the first album, all the albums. It got knocked back because Glenn didn't really like the song. It wasn't a lyric that he enjoyed. So it was always sort of left off and never got a Guernsey. But then when it came to Sleeper Catcher, we had one spot left, and I brought Lady again, and Glenn said, oh, not again. And luckily the producer agreed to put it on. And Glenn said, look, you know I don't like the song. I said, look, I know, Glenn, but we're bowing down the producer. I think it's a pretty good song. So he went out and gave it a shot. And then, of course, that was massive too.